cut the other two sections a little short, but did you have any thing like philosophy-wise, politically-wise, anything interesting that you wanted to talk about that happened and kind of fall under those categories?
Oh, gosh. My goodness, I feel like I always have little tiny things that happen. Well, I mean, there was just one little thing that I can think of that took place that, maybe it's relevant, but and I may have did a short video about it on like my Instagram or Facebook. But I was just really, uh, gosh, I'm gonna say one of my work days. I think it was just yesterday. Yesterday, I was actually at my location where in the city of Venice, close to Santa Monica, and I actually had my soccer class. I had like four classes that were, going to be in this location, but I like to come early because I like to just make sure that I have parking. I like to make sure that, when I say early, sometimes it's like a little more than an hour early,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, and and it just helps out, so I can set up. I have time to kind of read a little bit before getting into my classes with these kids and stuff like that. But one of my coworkers who works right next to me on the field, he actually overslept and came late. So he was very flustered, and he actually went to the my car, um, because he knows I'm always in there like early, and he kind of said, "Hey, Coach James, can you help me set up, man? I overslept." And his parents were right there, and they were actually pretty patient and all that, and but he was so flustered, and I could tell he was really beating himself up when it came to just coming late and stuff like that. And he's one of the guys that he takes his job seriously, so he does a really good job. But I was thinking to myself, and I kind of did a short video about this, and this is what I'll just present to you as well. Is I thought it was interesting how you have this gentleman who obviously does a good job. He's moving forward. He's being productive in his job. Obviously, anybody who has worked with him or works associated with even observing his work ethic knows that he's on the right track with how he conducts himself. But I thought it was interesting how he was really beating himself up about coming late, and I thought to myself, like, there are also times when I think a lot of us kind of forget that we're actually on the right track and we actually are. Um, I'm going to say we're obviously making progress, but there are little moments when we kind of feel like we're I guess set back a little bit.
Yeah.
We're set back, but we kind of forget like, oh man, like I'm actually making progress, and I think I can tell by his body language he was just feeling so bad, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if he just overslept, that I don't know if his alarm didn't go off or what the situation was, but yeah, I just thought to myself that I thought it was important just for I think it was a reminder even to me to kind of acknowledge that hey, it's okay to sometimes make mistakes or like life's about getting better, getting stronger, wiser, and things like that. But yeah, it was just interesting. He was very flustered, and I could tell early on with starting his class and everything, he just was really out of it because he
Yeah.
felt like yeah, and it could have been like just 10 minutes late or something, but
No,
yeah, he's just really flustered, man.
that's an important concept of just self-communication and being able to like calm and forgive yourself, right?
There
Obviously,
you
if
go.
it's something more nefarious or whatever that kept him from being there on time, whether the night before or whatever, that's something that
Mm,
might haunt someone more, right? So it's instead of just
mm,
oversleeping. But if you take your job seriously too, it is a huge deal if you oversleep. Like that's your reputation, and you don't want to tarnish that in front of
yeah,
people that you respect, that you have earned their respect. So it could
true.
go both ways. We don't have to make assumptions, but just in either case, like you need to adjust and figure out what's wrong and deal with it, but also like just be kind to yourself and understand you are
Yeah,
human. You are going to fall down, but it's about getting back on the path. You know, Rocky said it in one of his movies. It's not how hard you get hit; it's about how hard you can get hit and get back
there
up.
you go. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Alone.
Um, that's cool.
Yeah, no, but I just thought it was very interesting. It was something minor, but
For
you
sure.
know.
And for me, nothing too major. My good buddy is he'd been going through like this some troubles for a while now, but now this recently like everything is officially like he went through a breakup, like it's officially
Okay,
done, right? A relationship that
okay.
really close to this girl and really thought that she was the one. There's a lot of factors that went into it, but it is what it is now, and so just kind of guiding and helping him through this. And he's a young guy, so he has a lot to learn as far as like growing up in general and being a man. But just to the sake of like, and I've talked about it before, but respecting yourself and respecting the time you give to others and having them reciprocate it, right? And if they're not, cutting them out. Just deciding who's worth your time and not, and who's not. And something that I'm trying to figure out is how to exactly console. You know, it's not really our best trait as men to be super emotionally like
So true, man. So
consoling, you know.
true.
And I encourage people to have those feelings and everything, but I can help more in the fact of like moving past it and moving
Yeah,
forward
yeah,
logically, right? Because
yeah.
nothing you can do now will
Like every
change what
guy, yeah,
happened.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, so it's not worth dreading over and being in your feelings about it. And it still takes time. Like heartbreak is heartbreak, and we've all experienced it, and it's going to take some time to heal and get control of your faculties. But just the process of like removing different temptations. Like I told him to, in a sense, like slash and burn every, all traces of her from his phone and from social media and stuff. Full, I'm telling like go full scorched earth policy and just don't look back, right? Um, just to
Uh,
avoid this scenario where you're like reaching out again after things are done, right? Um, just kind of moving on and removing temptation to go back to what was that you can't change now, right?
mm, mm.
Yeah, I guess just curious about if you've ever had to help someone through a breakup, what you've kind of experienced, and also because we've talked about it before, how it's very easy, and there's are sections of the internet that are like hating on women completely and like blaming them for everything, and you did a video about it, I think, kind of recently, that women don't owe you anything, right? So
Mm.
we can link to that up there, and yeah, so
Cool, cool.
that'll be up there. But yeah, it's just really it's all your relationships and everything. No matter which way they go, learn something from it. Learn something from all your experiences. Grow in yourself and in what you offer to people. And I think the biggest thing is being more accountable to yourself before expecting that of others, right?
Mm. Mm, I
Um,
like that.
yeah,
One of the trickiest parts, I'm going to say that um, I find as like a Christian man is knowing when to identify when it's time to sever ties with certain people and which situations I'm going to say I should actually be mindful of keeping, because obviously, there are situations, for example, where, even just friendships, people I thought were very close to me, like maybe something happens and I learn maybe that, there really is a lack of respect or there's a lack of whatever else for me, and maybe I didn't, I guess I overlooked that maybe they didn't have a certain respect for me, or and I've had situations like this where, and I don't know if you've encountered this, but and I don't have a lot of these experiences, but when they happen, they're very devastating to me because sometimes you kind of have this idea of a relationship, and like I said, it could be a male or female friend, but you have like this understanding, like, hey, this is my friend, this is somebody I can trust. Maybe we've been through, fairly a few things together that they've helped me through, and I've helped them through, and then you find out maybe that by certain actions, that yeah, they're not really as solid as you thought they were, in regards to your relationship. They're not as um, I don't know, as close or as and so yeah, I think it's tricky because I used to have this mindset where yeah, if a person wasn't benefiting my life, then you don't need to be there.
yeah,
It's like hey, yeah, yeah. And then I started understanding after God, changed me that I am here to actually serve, not to
yeah.
be served.
It's a
And so
different part of your brain, and you have to
completely
kind of
complete
switch your
opposite.
attitude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And one of the verses that I committed to memory that I thought was really really helpful to me was Matthew 28:20, and Jesus said, "The Son of Man didn't come to this world to be served, but to serve and give His life up as a ransom for many."
Yeah,
So that right there lets us know, like as Christians, like he's our model. We should be offering our lives. We should be serving other people. But at the same time, the Bible teaches that there are some people that we are to sever ties with and stuff like that. And so I think even for me being somebody who's kind of, I consider myself, maturing in my faith and all, but I think that one thing can be a little tricky sometimes, knowing when to recognize, okay, it's time to step away from a relationship, and which ones you can. I say, okay, this person's obviously just going through some difficulty. Let me minister to them maybe from a
Yeah.
distance, or let me give them some time to, So I think that's a tricky thing. But yeah, in regards to breakups and relationships, I mean, yeah, whether you're male or female, man, those things can be very devastating, and some people don't take them very lightly. And you alluded to the red pill manosphere MGTOW movement, and yeah, I actually thought about going in more detail with some of the teachings and some videos. I might actually do that soon, just to kind of talk about it for about 10, 15 minutes, because I was actually getting sucked into some
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
some years ago. I was getting a little sucked in, and I didn't know what it was. But yeah, I basically tried to connect with a lady. I thought she was really cool. I even had flowers sent to her at her job. And in my head, I was thinking I'm a nice guy, so I'm really sweet. She's gonna be flattered. We're gonna have be boyfriend and girlfriend. Everything's gonna then we'll walk down the sunset and live the rest of our lives together. I just thought everything was gonna be like a romantic comedy, and yeah,
And
I
it
was
ended
under the
up being a
impression everything
Batman movie that was gritty and dark.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And then I realized, we were not going in that direction. She considered me a friend, and she told me something about she didn't want to ruin the relationship, or risk ruin the relationship. And I think at the time I was a little optimistic and naive, so I said, "Oh, hey, that's wonderful. Well, I totally get it. You don't want to risk losing me." And then later on, I'm like, "Wait a minute, that was some crap." Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that's
She's like,
well,
keep sending me flowers though.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's kind of like what was happening in this situation is he was waiting and she said we needed to take a break and she said she needed time and she said right person wrong time and that just
Oh,
fed his like infatuation and
oh,
like
no.
need for a life partner and he
Oh,
just
man,
he's like I'll wait for you no matter what like but
man.
it was just um yeah it was kind of rough to see and he's young he has to learn these things himself but just trying to give him the confidence like no like you're fine without her and also like it's not fair of her to ask you to do these things but not be in a relationship um she wanted to still communicate on social media and stuff despite not
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know and
Oh,
it's like
man,
that's
that's so.
torture like you're talking to someone every day but you can't talk to them how you want you can't get the relationship you want but
Yeah,
you don't see it like that. You're infatuated with the person. It's just different. We've all been there.
yeah, yeah.
So
Man,
I don't
that's a
know. I'm
rough.
I'm I am proud of him. He's been through a lot and he's grown a lot. I can already see that the way he views situations, the way he responds to certain things that happen, and how he holds himself. And he has a good plan to kind of get through this and improve in general for self help and self health. But
Mm,
so yeah, I just thought it was an interesting thing to bring up. Uh,
yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
struggling out there, just recognize, who reciprocates the effort and time that you give them and who doesn't, and kind of determine who's worth your time by that. Um,
Mm. Oh, yeah, that's a. Yeah, one thing I will say is that I think sometimes, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, the romantic comedy thing, and a lot of us guys or, ladies, some of us we fall into that mindset that if we determine that want a specific person, we'll just create this fictional world under some type of weird illusion that they're going to be destined for us.
it'll just
And
happen, no matter
yeah,
what.
yeah, 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 yeah. Even if they're with somebody else, well, if I just wait, things will just, Now, I've been alive long enough to have seen that happen just a handful of times, but even sometimes the journey towards that is not the easiest.
Yeah.
I personally, I live by a philosophy in which, and I don't know if this is a popular practice for some people, but if I'm um, if I'm attracted to a woman and she's only insisting that we be friends, to me, like, I don't know. I feel like I already have enough female friends. I have enough. I have enough. And so I'm okay with letting a woman know up front. I have quite a bit of great female friends. They're very reliable and loyal. And, we talk about amazing things. And, but I don't need to add more. I'm actually looking for a relationship. So if
Yeah.
you change your mind, And this is what I encourage guys to share is, if the lady decides to change her mind and wants to consider me as a potential partner, then we can have that discussion. But for me, I'm in a place where I don't want to keep entertaining. I don't know, like all these ladies that I'm actually
Every
interested.
bimbo off the street, James. You don't have to.
It's just I don't know. I'm just not, and I feel like, and it's the same thing with women as well. There's a lot of us guys that, and I'll just share one little, story. But I remember years ago, I met a lady on social media, and I thought she's really cool, down to earth, very easy to talk to. And I remember every time we went out, we always went to the movie theater. We had some snacks and stuff like that, and I paid for the tickets, I paid for the snacks, and then we always went to dinner. And we would go to a decent place, maybe Chili's, maybe wherever. And sometimes she'd get herself a drink or as well. And I realized for after like 3 months, after a while, this is like early in my understanding as a man. I've never actually tried to kiss her. I never tried to like hold her hand, and so I remember one time I actually tried to give her just a little kiss, like hey, it's been like 3 months, and I remember, we were in the car, we were just talking, and I tried to reach over, and I remember she was reaching, like she was pulling her head away from
Oh
me.
man.
Look, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah. And she looked at me kind of like, what are you doing? Like she was really like, what are you doing? And I remember right at that moment, oh, I'm not that guy to her. I'm the I'm the spending the money guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm
I'm
a $200 check every time we meet, guy.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, and from there, I think it kind of sent me off into my own journey. And a buddy of mine was already exposed to the whole red pill movement. So he was already getting a lot of this. And like right now, he's at a different level right now.
Oh
We're
no.
in that. Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, so he doesn't even want to entertain the idea of marriage, and he has no hope in Western women, especially. Um, yeah. So but I remember at that moment that I realized that I needed to actually look out for women that was like this. And it's the same thing with a guy like your buddy. Um, what's helpful is to keep in mind the attributes and the traits people have that show this kind of stuff. It's like, hey, I want to have you around, and I want to even sometimes treat you like a boyfriend, but I don't want to be with you. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, once you see those traits and you experience them, okay, what to avoid. So for me, I don't mind asking women up front, hey, we've been spending a lot of time right now, and are you open to dating? Would you like to go forward? And if they say, oh, well, I'm not sure, then that's my answer. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if we're talking about a man or a woman. If they want you, it doesn't matter if they are in debt or they're across the world or they're poor or whatever else. If they want you, they're going to be with you, and that's it. There won't be any excuses. If they want to be with you, they're going to be with you. They're not going to wait. They're not going to wait. They're not going to have an excuse. So
No, I
yeah,
get you.
yeah, man, yeah, yeah.
What